I'm so excited to be with everyone today. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's If I Don't Tell You Who Will, my weekly LinkedIn Live podcast with hiring managers and recruiters and those who support our journey, our career journey. This week, I am so excited to have Mr. Joe Ham. He's a principal people partner. Say that fast 5 times in a row at Genentech, my beloved Genentech, the best place in the world. And we met through gAlumni, and now I consider him a friend. We've chatted. He's here to collaborate. Joe has been a recruiter. He is currently a hiring manager, and now he heads the gAlumni alumni network at Genentech. And I will say, if you've seen any of my posts this week, I am so thankful personally for this network and Joe, what you've created and fostered, created and cultivated,
Mhm.
honestly. I've met new friends. I've gotten clients. I've gotten out of my house just because I'm here all the time working by myself. So thank you.
Thank you.
Tell us more about you. Tell us about how you even got to alumni work, which I didn't even know was a thing until you. So tell
Oh,
us.
first off, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know where folks are calling in from. I am Joe. Thank you, Nicole, for inviting me. Really, my name's Joe Ham, he, him. I am calling in from Oakland here in the Bay Area. How did I start? So, where do I start? Where did I start out from? How did I land leading an alumni network? When I think about the tapestry of my quilt and the many different panels that consist of it, I've always known that human and creating experiences so that folks can run at their best is what gets me going. That is my passion. That is my inner working model. And started out my career in mental health. So, education and mental health. I was a mental health counselor for a really long time. In that social behavioral mental health aspect, I then got introduced into the world of recruitment, right? Because we're thinking about humans and we're thinking
Mhm.
about the way they work, what capabilities, capacities are needed. Did that for a long time. And that's when I had reached a kind of peak in my own journey, went to go get my graduate degree. That's when I got exposed to more of the program and project management aspect of all of the work of HR. At the time, I was also part of the board for UC Berkeley's Chicano Latino Alumni Association. Shout out to all of the Bears out there, go Bears. But nonetheless, in learning about the academic way in which individuals really leverage their alumni networks, when I saw this role at Genentech, I was like, wow, corporate alumni? What is that? What does that mean? And so as I was thinking through the real recruitment process and getting into this role, I saw that there's a lot of translation. There's a lot of
Yeah,
transfer of a lot of the stuff that's
true.
happening in academia into this, which then resulted where I'm at now.
Wonderful. We have a Go Bears here.
Thank you so much for joining and thank you for the note.
I was going to say, are you going to say you went to UC Berkeley? Because super cool. So we're going to talk about a few things here. One, we're going to talk
Please.
about what a boomerang is. We don't have to do that
Yes.
first, but we can. When people say boomerang, some people don't know what that means. What does it mean? And we have a boomerang in common who's on your team.
Yes. EC Climber. Yeah.
Yeah.
So boomerangs typically within the world of corporate alumni, et cetera, are folks who I like to call them their skill and experience sabbaticals, where they'll go off and do some amazing things at other organizations. And then somehow there is the intersection that happens both in the organization and then also that person's next layer or next level
Mhm.
in play. And so it's individuals who then return back to previous places of employment to continue to bring value add, right? Whether it was the skills and the experience they were able to develop while they were there, the experiences and skills that they developed when they left, and then coming back to the organization. And it's definitely one of the levers that we focus on around alumni. And many corporate alumni groups also leverage this. Other people call them rehires, but at Genentech, we like to call them boomerangs as there's a little bit of fun to it. Also, they kind of whip back over. But it's so interesting to think as I learn more around the experiences of so many of our boomerangs, there's these recipes of why they came back, right? Whether it's the culture, the interest, the opportunity to then level up, the value add that it can then bring to the ecosystem. It's so interesting to see how there isn't one perfect recipe as to why people came back, but that's what makes it so beautiful is that the perspectives each of them bring back to the ecosystem is pretty neat.
And
Yeah.
Casey, what's funny is that we were on the same team together years ago. She's on your
Mhm.
team now. We kept in touch when I was at Facebook, then she went to Facebook. So we've been in touch, and now she is someone I get to see and keep in touch with IRL at gAlumni events. Okay, so if you watched, if I don't tell you before, we have some questions we ask every time, and I love to get
Please.
the perspective of all of our guests. So in this world of networking in general, tapping into your alumni connections, whatever it be, community. What is something that candidates think matters, but actually doesn't?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think I've even said in this when I think to my own experiences in prior places of employment, there's this natural myth of this like clean break, right? Where it's
Mm,
like, all right, bygones be bygones. Here I go off into my merry way. The organization goes on into their merry way, and you just continue on in your own momentum, which I think makes sense. But candidates, especially those who are on the call or who will be listening in, who feel like they're taking an active approach to a new role or a new opportunity, they forget that the alumni capacity and ecosystem from that place of employment might be an area of opportunity for you to harness. Oftentimes, people leave an organization and then several years down the line, they then leave that organization and they're having to find a place to land next. That bridge is not static, right? The corporate alumni networks are not just passive newsletters. There are moments of opportunity to take on that driver's seat to be able to then reconnect with folks. And we'll get into that later on. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that they think that matters, but it really doesn't, is that don't view your departure as an endpoint, but really, hey, what is this network that I've been developing? What is the work that I was able to do? Can I reach out to them in 3, 5, 10 years time to be able to then have that reconnection?
I think that is such a good point because I haven't even thought that. This is not a bad breakup. You can go back to a place that you've been before. Like, and that sometimes that is, oh, wait, that is my aha for the week. Or, I can actually go back and do that. And
That's the double, right? The double whammy is that it's not just the organization that you can maintain an affinity with, but there might have been a colleague that you both work together. You both have moved on to other roles in other companies. They are now then posting that there are roles available in their net new company. That's why I call it the double whammy. It's both the yes,
yes,
affinity and connection to the organization, but at the same time, the people that you make connection with, they might not be there. They might not be lifers, right?
right.
At that one
True.
organization. So how do you then massage those relationships also is something that I continue to see as value add, even in the gAlumni network that I lead now.
Yes. Fantastic. Now tell me on the reverse, what's something that candidates don't think matters, but absolutely does?
We'll talk about it time and time again ad nauseum, right? The power of the casual reconnection. The reason why I call it a casual reconnection is oftentimes when folks are on the pursuit for a net new role, I feel like they come in thinking they need this massive formal reason to reach out to a formal colleague, right? When
Mhm.
oftentimes the reality of it is a simple, hey, long time no see. How are things going? How's your partner? How are the kids? How's your dog? Or even, hey, I was reminiscing about that time when we were working on that specific project. Remember that? I hope all is well. These simple reconnections, I like to call them casual reconnections, oftentimes will yield more results in the
Yes.
long term because you're facilitating connection, you're facilitating a win win or perhaps potential ask, right? But I think sometimes there's a little bit too more of a forcefulness of it as, hey, Joe, I see that you're at Genentech and I see that this role is available. I've just applied. Can you refer me? It's like, all right, love it. We worked on a very big project a few years ago. I know that there was a pandemic in between. How are you doing? How is life? Again, thinking about human first and opportunity second. I speak from a place of privilege because I have a role, right? Because I also don't want to undermine the understanding of there's a lot of emotion at play, especially if you've been going up to bat many times and roles haven't been at your disposal. And so there's a little bit of a, oh, I'm desperate. I need to find something. But remember also the power of that connection being with a human touch. And so that is, I think, something that oftentimes don't think folks might not think matter, but actually does.
You make a really good point because it is true. Sometimes we're in panic mode. It's been a couple months. It is a very big thing when you've just been laid off. It hits your spirit, it hits your psyche. It's a big deal. And sometimes we don't give it the weight. And at the same time, not everyone's going to have a role right now. So you can still be peppering in some casual connections. And that's a lot of what I talk about when I talk about networking is building a community. When you think about building a community, it's, hey, do you want to go play pickleball? I don't know why I talk about pickleball. I've never played it. For a walk, right? Or do you want to meet for coffee? I have a former colleague who I consider a friend, Rachel. We work together for a short amount of time. She lives in Oakland and we'll get together every once in a while. And it's just connect with each other. Could one thing lead to another in the future? Maybe. I would always, though, because of the relationship we built, always be a stepping stone wherever she needs to go. Do you know what I mean? So I hear what you're saying, and I think it's really important that making casual connections part of your networking strategy all the time. not just when you need something. And this leads me to my next question. I think you're going to have an opinion on it. What's the immediate no for you, even if somebody looks good on paper?
Yeah, it's so interesting from the alumni space because I'm always keeping update on not only alumni for Genentech, but also alumni of other companies that I've also been a part of, other colleagues, et cetera. And one of the things that I see time and time again, not just with alumni, but anyone really, is they only activate their network when they are in crisis or actively looking for a job. I know you just spoke to the power of sprinkling or peppering in those relationships and truly thinking about it as a marathon and not a sprint
Mhm.
with an end result. You see the very first message after 3 years of silence going, "Can you reform me to this job?" I was just talking about this. And I understand the perhaps gravity of it because I don't understand financial constraint, personal situations, et cetera. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
At the same time, though, you're asking for something. As a result, there needs to be a level of connection, especially with alumni. If you had a connection before, it's almost worse if you had a connection and then you're just coming to me, "Hey, can you refer me to the job?" Then if it's someone who I have no idea who it is, asking for a referral. It's almost
Right.
like, "Oh, wow, okay. We shared a long desk for 5 years. Now you want how are you?" Again, and I joke about it a little bit, but I think it's also important that we think about those things, right? Yeah, just take a beat, take a breather, think, "Okay, how can I facilitate this conversation if you haven't spoken in a while?" And name it. "Hey, it's been a while since we've chatted. I hope everything is well. Let's jump on a quick call or let's go grab coffee." Okay, in that conversation, "Hey, you know what? I've admired you working in XYZ. I'm looking on LinkedIn. You've been at this organization for a really long time. By the way, I'm looking at what my next play looks like. How is it working at, or what does work look like in your role?" I'm more active and more willing to step in and help for you versus like me trying to muster up something that I see on either LinkedIn or Instagram, wherever we're connected. Yeah.
And as Khan says, the best time to build your network is when you don't need it. We've heard it, but we
Now,
forget. I am so glad that he brings this up. I think we sometimes go into panic mode, but really, if you're thinking strategically about it, and you really just need to get this person on the phone or into a coffee chat, I am more apt, like you, to respond with, "Oh, absolutely. That'd be so fun." Or, would be great to catch up again." If there's a what's in it for me a little bit, like not, it's all you. "Oh, I'm going to ask you for a referral." I might put that on the back burner. I don't have time for it, but a casual reconnect. Yeah, I could be up for that. It's good coaching from you, Joe, because sometimes we just need to be reminded of it. We just need to take a beat, pause, and then what is this good strategic way to tap into these connections? Now, when you think about resumes, because I'm a resume writer, I do lots of resume work. What's something on a resume that immediately makes you lean in and something that makes you hesitate?
my answer is twofold. Think about a persona archetype, and I like to call them the ecosystem builder. Is there an ecosystem builder or are they not an ecosystem builder? Now, what I mean by that is, do they have a complete lack of community or network footprint? If a candidate has zero signs of mentorship, leadership, engagement in employee resource groups or other communities, or connection to their past academic or corporate alumni communities, especially, I wonder if they're a solo operator rather than that ecosystem builder. And that's always what I look for. It's one thing for someone who can definitely be a high achiever, high performer, but it's also someone who can be that and also bring folks along the way while also leaning on the systems that are at their disposal. Now, this doesn't have to be outward. "Oh my gosh, I'm posting on LinkedIn every single networking event or everything that I attended." But at the same time, when it comes to projects that you worked on, what other communities, what stakeholders, what thought partners did you lean in to achieve that success? Of course, have pride of a job well done of something that you were able to perhaps lead from the front. But at the same time, I want to see, okay, did you share back that knowledge to specific groups? Were you able to lean the subject matter expertise from someone else? That is that, again, that building of that ecosystem so that it's fortified versus you being the sole person who then is reliant on that is where is something I always look for in not only resumes, but naturally now it's your digital and also live tapestry. Y'all know, right? We're looking at resumes, LinkedIn's, all of it, right?
All
Like
of
just
it.
what is the encapsulation of what makes you? And ecosystem builders are one of those opportunities that allows us to then have that picture based on that.
Yes, and I call everything your application materials. It used to just be your
Right.
resume. You can communicate this stuff on your resume, that you led a project. A bullet can be about how you led something, but you can definitely show it on your LinkedIn. It's something you can weave into your cover letter. There's so many parts of it, and you're exactly right because that does show personality of whether you're a solo operator or whether you're a team player or whether you're gonna come in and really boost the culture. Because as much as candidates want a good culture to step into, we also wanna be culture bearers when we get there, and that's what organizations and hiring managers are also looking for. And Beryl makes a good point. She says that alumni is not just for your former job, but also your volunteer work, which is another place that you can find. Maybe you're at a smaller organization, they don't have ERGs, employee resource groups, but you can showcase your skills and you can also meet people through volunteering too. Okay, so if someone had 30 days to seriously improve their chances or just invest in their career to get a new job, what would you tell them to focus on?
Yes. One of the thrills that I have about leading alumni is that, let me take 2 steps back. Growing up, I loved stories. I loved when my aunts and uncles would tell me stories of my mom when she was younger and all the adventures that they'd go on. And as I kept going, like, I feel like that's just part of my natural fabric. I love stories. And in that, there is a unique sense of importance of past and people's pasts. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Joe, where are you taking me with this? So when you're looking at moving forward, audit and activate your past. The stories you have in your own professional experience with the alumni in all of your corporate, volunteer, organizational groups, education institutions, intersect with them. Look forward for 30 days, but then also look backwards. So here's one of the big takeaways I have for you all. So
Okay.
when you walk away today, if you haven't already, make a list of those 10 colleagues, managers, or stakeholders from your previous lives. Reach out to them. Say,
Mhm.
hey, zero agenda. Remember that time that we did this? Remember that time that we volunteered together and Joe, you tripped and fell and we all laughed about it, but then we had to write a write up about making sure that you got your workers' comp claim, whatever it might be. Those are the things and moments that matter because it allows you to then look to your past in order to get where you're going. I think oftentimes when we think of our career trajectory, it's yes, it's a line, it might be a squiggly line, whatever it might be. But you're constantly thinking, I need 10 new people. I need 20 new people. It's okay, turn around. There are now hundreds of people that you've connected with. The power of the work that you've been able to deliver, see how you can then also channel those folks. I think we both wrote about it when we were getting excited about this, where it's like, you might already have a network of this myth and legend of this group that might already be part of your network that you hadn't thought about before. And that's why I
Yeah.
love alumni groups because you see it in action, right? Like I see it in the reverberation of how it impacts folks like you, other folks inside and outside of the organization and channel it.
And it makes it a little bit easier. One of
Yes.
our mutual friends, Chris, mentioned yesterday that networking doesn't come naturally, which is most of my clients, most people. So he's not alone in this. But having those events where you have mutualities with each other makes it a little bit easier to have those conversations, to meet new people, to reconnect with former friends. And you're exactly right. So thinking that through. And yes, we've talked a lot about gAlumni, but there are other alumni groups. Joe, how do
Right.
people find out about them?
Question. Yeah. Now the power of AI, right? We can easily ask Gemini or ChatGPT, whoever, to say, hey, is there corporate alumni groups for XYZ company that I worked for? But I think three big ones that I've seen from an alumni lens is, of course, the academic alumni. Those tend to typically be full fledged, structured. Most academic institutions do them. Why? Because nice way of development dollars, all of that jazz. The second aspect is corporate alumni groups. Now, not all companies will have formal structured corporate alumni networks like Genentech alumni, the others that are out there, but look out to see. And then the
Mhm.
last one are volunteer, influential based, or perhaps affinity based groups. For example, I know that Genentech alumni, there is the Genentech alumni network, incredible leaders out there who are doing some really cool connection points. The Women Leadership Alliance alumni group that's hosted by Laura Costain, shout out to her. It's amazing to have these moments of connection. I think
Mhm.
it's important. And even a byproduct of those, right? There's a senior leaders group. Is there volunteer based groups and alliances? Are
Mhm.
there alumni groups that were part of employee resource groups in the company that you were a part of? These are the ones that you should lean on. And again, doing some research. And if not research, leaning on those alumni and saying, hey, alumni, do you know of any groups that have started? Or better yet, here's my second takeaway for you all. There isn't a corporate alumni group for a company that you work for. Who's to stop you from creating at least a small little, hey, colleagues, let's get together and just have a cocktail? I'm not saying full fledged run with name company, etc., But what's stopping you from at least starting that reconnection point? Because there might be others who worked at an organization like yours. I wonder how they're doing. Oh, I wonder how that team is
Yep.
doing. Let's bring the band back together.
Why not you? Why not you? And that's where Laura, speaking of Laura, we both adore. I think the Genentech Women's Circle, which is a subsidiary of gAlumni, is 150 women now. So quite a number of people. Or HBA, Healthcare Businesswomen's Association, or go back and volunteer at your ERG. Do they need
Mhm.
help doing things? Whatever. So
Right.
many things you can jump into. So many opportunities. Just tap yourself, be aware. Joe has given you some great things. Joe, we're at time. This time always flies. You are fantastic. I have enjoyed having you so much. I hope other people have learned. Feel free to send a comment afterwards. Joe and I, if you have a question, can answer it in the future. But thank you for your insights today, Joe. And thanks everyone else for coming. Next week, we're going to have my friend Alexandra, who is a hiring manager, and she's going to talk to us about her thoughts on cover letters and just hiring in general. So tune in next Friday, Juneteenth. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. See you later.